Okay, so let's graph. So if I took this picture and I said, well, let's graph the absolute value of it. So wherever you see the graph with heights, we're talking about heights that are positive or 0, they stay. So all of this part of the graph would stay because it's 0 or above. All of this part of the graph would stay. And then this part of the graph is less than 0. It's negative height-wise. Does that make sense? The heights are below 0. So I have to change them. So for instance, this coordinate, 1, -3, where would I move its height to? 1, +3. So can you visualize that? This, which had negative heights, now has positive heights. Can you see that? I reflected it. That's what I did to this little piece. So it went from negative to positive. Okay, I'm going to jump to number 3 and then we'll come back to 2. Okay, so which part of this graph are you going to keep? Which part are you going to overlap because it's going to stay put? Okay, so this part will stay. This part will stay. This little chunk will stay. Okay, so those little 3 sections will stay put because their heights are 0 or above. Okay, these 2 sections have negative heights, so I now have to change them. So I'm going to count here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That had a -7 on it as a height. So where am I going to move it to? +7. And same with this section. So there's my final graph. All of that. So you have to show me the overlapping. Some people on tests, I can't see their pencil overlapping. Make sure I can see that you've overlapped where you needed to and changed where you needed to. Okay, so this one, graph y equals the absolute value of x minus 5. So there's no graph on here. So we're going to have to graph. So pretend I don't see the absolute value. What do you do to graph that function? You've graphed it over and over again, this function in grade 10. What is this function shape? When it just has an x in it, it's a line, right? That's grade 10 stuff. X squareds are the parabolas, x's are the lines. Those are the 2 shapes you've done. What do you know about this line? What's this number all about? The y-intercept. And mx plus b. What's the m number? 1. Slope of 1. So how do you do a slope staircase of 1 on a line? Up 1, right 1. Okay, I'm just going to draw it a little bit lighter because it's not really the graph that I want, but this is the equation. Graphed, that's the function. Y-intercept of -5, we went up 1, right 1, up 1, right 1. Okay, then we're going to absolute it. So what part of this graph needs to stay put? What part of this graph would stay put? Zero or positive height. 0 or the positive height stays put. And what part of this graph would need to change? All this part has negative heights. So it would need to change to positive. Okay, does that make sense? So when you're done an absolute value graph, there should be nothing underneath here. There's no negative height at all when you're done.